Hello, welcome. This is the second part of the SRAM X9 shifters. So this will be the 9-speed side. I'm going to disassemble and then reassemble the shifter, so to show you how to fix or service your shifter. Let's get started. So first thing, we're going to take off the type of screw bolt on this plastic cap, so we can remove the plastic body, which gives us access to this part. I'm also going to remove this number 4 bolt at the back. Make sure that you untension the shifter before you get to work. Finally managed to get that off. We're going to remove some parts on the top here. So let's take off this spring, that tiny little spring. We can release this return spring as well. We can now remove the return spring. Let's take off this part. Doesn't quite want to come off. Managed to get it. I don't think that this bolt's actually screwed down. I think it's just pushed down. It's just that it's been there for so long, you needed to kind of remove it by screwing. So now we can take off this cam. I'm going to remove this metal pole that's inside this kind of the trigger, the lever. I'm now going to unscrew these 2 screws. Okay, so I'm going to take off that black cover. So I'm going to take off this spring, the one of the return springs. It's in a weird position in here. You need to kind of take it out. Yeah, I got it in the end. So now I can take off this black lever. We're going to take off this type of spring that runs along here at the back and reaches to the top. So I'm going to use a plier to just pop that out. Okay, it's come off. So what's left is these 2 bolts to take off. I think we'll be able to take that off with a, yeah. So I can remove these with just a plier. They're not very tight. So we're going to take off this I don't know, metal part. I don't know what this would be called. And there's a kind of like a spring that we're going to take off as well. Okay, so I've removed everything. The shifter's fairly clean. It doesn't really need any new grease. Maybe just this spring, but otherwise the rest is clean. So now I'm going to put everything back together again. So on the lever arm itself, there's a plate that you can take off. And on the interior there's a kind of a pull slash kind of paddle part that goes into that hole, and then there's a small little return spring there. So as a reference, I'm just gonna put it back. I mean, there's not really a need to take this off for now. The grease is still more moist and not sticky and dirty for the moment. So there's that spring that goes here, and it kind of holds onto this part, and it goes onto that paddle slash pull. And then the plate goes back on the top. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is put back this spring. So the tip that's slightly curved is going to go onto this part, and as you see, it goes into the that slot on the plate. and then the other part that's at a 90-degree angle is on the top. We're then going to put this plate back on top. Then there's the 2 bolts, so the one that has that kind of top specific on there, that's going onto the left side or towards the barrel adjuster, and the other ends. So screw that down. I don't think these need to be very tight. Next there's another spring to put underneath, that runs along underneath here. So the best thing to do is just to put it in place on this side first, and then use some kind of plier or something to be able to lift up the part that's at a 90-degree angle into that hole that's on the side. Okay. We're going to put the one of the levers back on, so that tip of that spring is going to go through that slot. And then you just need to kind of work it in. It should go in. You'll see it's working as the that metal plate's now moving. And there's that hole here for this type of tiny metal rivet pole thing. So we're gonna push that through to the other side. So it's going up this side here. Okay, so we're getting on to the harder parts. The first thing we're going to do is put this spring back. So the part with on the interior, the tip of the spring, that's going to go right here on the lever itself. So we're going to install that now, and then we're going to put the plate back on like so. Okay, so for the next part we need to get that tip and we need to put it into the square hole that's right there. It's quite fidgety to slot it into place, and then once it is in place, you know, the spring is going to be going up along here, and then after, what you're going to do is we're going to tension the lever, turning it around for it to well, go smaller, so for that the width, the diameter of the spring is going to tighten around the lever part here, and then you're going to be able to push this down. And whilst you're doing that, you want that type of that metal part there to go into this gap here. Okay, so I'm going to try and get that into place now. Okay, after a lot of fidgeting, I finally got it in. Okay, so now I've got that into place. You can see the spring there is running along. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tension this. So I've already started to tighten up the spring. So if I'm going to put this upside down, it's much easier actually. When you put this upside down, you can aim for that that pull to go in through here. So now I've got this pretty tight. I think this is going in. Yeah. So now I'm going to put the plastic cover on the back of this. You'll just make sure when you are doing that the spring is laying flat on that part there, because obviously we won't be able to put that plastic cover on after. So I'm going to try and lay this down now as flat as possible. You obviously want this to be in the right place. So it looks good. I'm going to put the screws back into that plastic cover, and the other one. I was thinking before I start putting all this stuff back together, I might as well put a bit of grease here. The interior part of this of the sprocket where there's teeth there. I think that's going to aim towards where there's the pull right there. So I'm going to put that on the top, like so. I can now put this bolt down, and that should be in the right place. I'm going to push that through. Right, so I'm now tightening this down. Okay, it looks like it's good. So now I can let go of my hands off the lever. Okay, I can see that it's working because I'm clicking. Obviously the other way around I need to manually do it with my finger because there's no return spring yet. Okay, so on top of this you're going to have the return spring. When you do put this back, I'm going to do as I left it, which was when the spring was completely untensioned. So I've returned it like I did before to the initial place, which would be technically like the first gear, I believe. So the tip of that spring there, we're going to put it into the square hole. Make sure nothing's overlapping, and the square part I believe went underneath here in a weird position. Yeah, I think it was something like that. So going in front of the black bolt and then underneath those parts there. Make sure this is laying flat around the circle part of that cam. And the last spring to put, so it goes up in this position for me at least, underneath that bolt, slots in place, and then you kind of want to push onto that little tip of the spring that's sticking out on this way. So I've got that there. Now we can put the cover back on. Okay, cool. Okay, so the rebuild is complete. I hope you enjoyed the second part of this video, and hopefully you also was able to service or rebuild your SRAM X9s. Thank you for listening, and peace out.